Servus. Mal schauen, ob wir den Kampf heute schaffen. Beziehungsweise die Nacht. Bin schon gespannt. It was a spectre that made Soichiro question which forced the wall of breed, man, or oak ability to lay waste to things would obstruct the path more.
ちょっとなんで距離取るのよそこ。そばにいないと危ないじゃない。ほらもっとこっち。
Ich liebe ihre Gesichtsausdrücke einfach. Ich liebe sie einfach.
言っとくけど、あんたがあいつらに囲まれちゃったらアウトよ。私人質とか意味ないタイプだし、そもそも区別して撃つとかそういうのできないし。
This made a lot of sense to Toshiro. He had not fully appreciated the part about hostages, but he got the gist of it.
つまり今はどこであろうと危険なのか。
あんたね。
Offended through she was by this typical naive response, she could not help but be impressed. Toshiro was a straight arrow through and through. His eyes stayed firmly focused on the axe overheat, even amidst the chaos of merely unfolding before him.
その分なら安心か。物分かりは悪いけど、一度言われたことはきっちり守るあたり、あなたのいいところよね。
そんなことより青崎、俺の気のせいならいいんだけど、さっきのパン硬くなかったか。
まあね、あいつら少しずつ強くなってきてるわ。大量生産が軌道に乗ったんで、今度はクオリティアップをテーマにしたのかも。しずきくんでもお察しの通り、ここからは手強くなっていく一方よ。あのパンたちでさえ個体差が出てきたみたいだし。考えたくないけど、そのうちジャム塗ったりレタス乗っけたり、果ては合体したりして。
God! Though she was joking, her eyes were dead serious. Soichiro shuddered at the thought of the situation growing even more dire.
じゃあそのうちミラーハウスの人形ぐらいに怖くなるのか、あいつら。
間違いなくね。そこまでレアなパンになったら、私も自分だけで手一杯になる。ところでしずきくん、ああいうのと喧嘩できる？
Bezweifle ich irgendwie. Soichiro shook his head, a look of complete aversion upon his face.
でしょ？なら急ぎましょう。いろいろ余裕ないんだから。
Orko took a quick deep breath, then began to sprint once again. Far in the distance, through the fog, the iron fence waited, 300 paces away. As long as nothing happened, they would make it there in one piece. Soichiro followed after Aoko, holding on to all that convenient hope. Warum but hope was something ever fleeting. It lasted not even 300 yards. The edge of the amusement park may well have been the edge of the world. Those of undulating horizons could be seen, crowding the sky like a giant cloud or a thick curtain, or perhaps glowing lips. It was the end of the road, the outer limit of an outrageous and fantastical realm, and yet Oko found it too much like the last page of the enormous picture book. The sight turned her mind blank. Well, this is about as bad as it gets, she thought. The snark, the eyelid of despair, had at last brought Oko to her knees as she started the swirling border. The park, indeed, had an end. Even now, Aoko and Tsuchiro had expected it to be a fence divided the amusement park from the residential area neighboring it. It had both doubled its height and been made sturdier another hurdle she had foreseen before even laying eyes on it. Expecting it to have been snuggified, Oko had come prepared to demolish an obstacle or two. But this construction before her went far beyond a mere wall. It was an ocean that separated the underworld from the mortal one. The iron fence was like a restless, surging sea. 1 or 2 walls could easily be toppled. Even 10 or 20 could be dealt with, one way or another. Between the power left in her body and that which filled the park, putting on a brave front with inner power, she would fully mobilize her circles and crest to the point of burnout in a last-ditch effort, like some reenactment of the parting of the Red Sea.
でもそれで終わり。
Even if the path could be opened, she would not have the energy to walk it, and it was obvious that would become of her afterward. The residents would hardly forgive her for wreaking such havoc around the park, like ants drawn to honey. They would swarm the helpless girl and tear her to pieces. Despondent and exhausted, she felt the faint sting of remorse. Escaping the park. Looking back on how they gotten here, Orko recognized that her choices had been her undoing. Under the golden full moon, beams of steel blend emerged like wireframe sculptures. It was only a matter of time before the amusement park itself became a colossal monster. The horde of familiars gathered in the plaza where Alice was formed an impenetrable blockade around her. Just above the head of the boy beside her, the whispering egg, called Scratchy Dumpty, continued to shuffle what appeared on its surface.
青崎
しずきくん。
The boy, voice snapped Aoko off their trance. If only for a moment. The stark reality of the situation quickly dawned on Novid's mage. The sheer hopelessness of it all as it ripped out and snatched away any will she had to resist.
ゲートに行こう。ここはどうしようもないけど、入り口ならもうちょっとマシだろ。フラットスナークだっけ？こいつにもルールがあるって言ったじゃないか。ならこれは役割の問題だ。初めから鉄柵は通れない壁だけど、ゲートなら出入り口として機能しているかもしれない。
So she had not given in to panic. Orko found herself honestly admiring Tsuchiro's ability to analyze Snark's characteristic given its circumstances. Now calm, she steeled her resolve.
そうね。確かに門はあると思う。けど、たどり着くのは難しいわ。一番弱かった焼きたてパンですら、今はもうあれだもの。広場や入り口には、もっと上等なのがたむろしてるだろうし、門だって、あの観覧車以上の怪物かもしれない。確か、大きなキッツィちゃんだったでしょ、正門って。
青崎はゲートには行かないのか。
まあね。それよりこっちの方が現実的だし。
Orko took another look glaze at the undulating iron fences. It was too late to achieve the goal of making it out alive. In that case, she decided to prioritize the other promise she had made.
今からこの鉄柵を壊すから、あなたはそこから外に出て。それで、私の役割はおしまいよ。
Through her words, with you, her tone told the whole story. She was telling him to escape by himself,
信じられない。こんなの青崎だけじゃ壊せないだろ。
私だけならね。でも今はこの遊園地が味方してる。燃料がこれだけあるんだから、私は重心になるだけでいいんだし。ま、それでも1回が限度だから、穴を開けたらあんたには全力で走り抜けてもらうしかないけど。
She will carve a path through this iron sea of fences, gambling on one final effort, a great incantation to launch a massive projectile that pushes her limits to the extreme. As an outsider, Tsuchiro could not even begin to imagine just how much of a burden this would be for her. All he could imagine was a hazy vision of Oko being left behind in this park. What would happen to her? What would the girl in black come to save her? Cruel as it was to imagine, he knew she would not. After Oko had exhausted her very best in order to save him, the girl would not stay her hand. The only way Alice would let Oko off the hook was if Oko killed Tsuchiro as payment. And so...
20メートルぐらい離れてて。準備に手間取るけど、その卵の表面が茹で上がるまでには終わらせるから。
It went without saying that this was the only path.
待ってくれ。俺を逃がすって言うけど、それに意味はあるのか、青崎。
ないけど、外に出られたところでアリスから逃げ切れるとは思えないし。
Correct.
けど、これぐらいは最後の意地よ。守るって言ったんだから、できるところまでやらないと。
Selbst wenn ich dir dein eigenes Leben kostet. Surprised by a seemingly mortal stance, Tsuchiro saw Oko in a new light. Ah, but of course. Tsuchiro realized that she was not fighting for his sake, but for the sake of her pride.
そうだったな。けど、それなら俺だけ逃がすのはらしくないぞ。
何よ。いいから離れてて。
For some reason, Oko took a step away from him. She was recalling how an hour ago he had gotten the better of her.
青崎、まだ意地を張れるんなら他のことをやろう。このお化けみたいな鉄柵を壊せるなら他に壊すべきものがあるはずだ。
ないわよ。悪いけど、私は目に見えるものしか壊せないの。最後まで形のない希望にすがるとか考えるのも寒気がする。いい？今はフラットスナークなんかよりこの壁を壊してあんたを足抜けさせるのが私の現実。私に負える最大限の責任って。
逃げるのか。
Das traf sie hart. Oko was just about to turn her back on him when Tsuchiro clutched her hand. His words caused something inside her to boil with rage. It was though someone had set her heart on fire. The surprise had pricked up her, opened her true feelings and disappointment she felt toward herself. Fought her frozen limbs.
誰が逃げるのはそっちで、逃がしてあげるのはこっちだって言うのよ。甘く見ないで。いざとなったら遊園地ごと爆破してみせるわ。
そうか。ならここで俺を逃がすのは無駄だな。その気迫は本命のために取っておこう。それまでは俺も手伝うから。
は？手伝う？それこそ無駄な気遣いよ。頭きた。いいから逃げろバカ。だいたい走り詰めで息も絶え絶えなやつなんか使えないわよ。
そりゃいい加減ヘトヘトだけど、そういう青崎なんか疲れ以上に傷の方が傷んでるだろ。
Not to mention injury to her back that Oko nearly had forgotten about, even though she couldn't ignore the pain that Automaton had inflicted on her spine. With iron, well, she would be managed to push it out of her mind mostly.
ほら、魔術とか抜きにすればまだ俺の方がマシじゃないか。入り口までおぶっていくことぐらいならなんとか。
できないことは口にしないで。
Sag die Richtige!
もういいから言って。慣れているもの、私は。でもあなたは違う。 だからいいの。
The fact that they were a team. Die Musik ist gerade so schön. The fact that she would still have to kill him after all of this. None of the irony was lost on her as she said these words, because none of it mattered anymore. Still, Sojiro didn't let go of her hand. He gripped it even harder. His expression was the same as ever. Aoko frowned, trying to figure out if he was upset with her.
確かにこういうのは初めてだ。けど山じゃ危険な目ぐらい合ってる。鹿に襲われたことだってあるんだぞ、俺は。
As a city girl, she had no idea what it meant to be attacked by a deer, but his determination was apparent enough. True. Looking back on it now, he had maintained his composure through it all. A normal person would barely be able to talk through such panic. Perhaps growing up deep in the mountains, far from civilization, had taught him how to stay calm in the face of so much.
だから信じてくれ。少しでいいから。
He spoke his plain, unadulterated feelings and released his hand. There was no lie in him. In fact, he was too honest, so much that he found it hard to believe him. Soichiro had no reason to go that far. As it stood, Aoko had no future. After confessing this and telling him to escape, why did this boy still offer to help a person like her?
わからない。どうしてそこまでするの？私に付き合えばあなたは死ぬのよ。これが最後だからちゃんと考えてよね。あなたはここで逃げるべきよ。
それはわかるよ。でも行かない。
Soichiro answered immediately, realizing that Aoko was looking for his reason. This level of insight in Soichiro demanded a round of applause.
そうすると青崎が死んでしまいそうだ。
His words were as irrational as always.
だからどうしてそこまでするのよ、あんたは。
She was yelling out of frustration. After thinking for a moment, Soichiro replied,
そりゃ君が好きだからだろ。
simple and to the point. His face seemed to ask why she should keep questioning him. There was a pause, no more than 2 seconds. His surprise attack had stopped Aoko in her tracks. Alice was not the only one who had an ace up her sleeve. That line reached deeper, even than Vladsnak could ever hope to. Aoko could respond with an expression of pure shock. It was a simple stubborn reason, the strongest kind on earth. Soichiro Shizuki was indeed incomprehensible to be able to work unconditionally with someone who was trying to kill him. But she felt as though she would finally grasp a sliver of his true nature. Toimaru and others' assessment of him was correct, as vexing as it was to admit.
バカね。私はあなたのこと嫌いなのに。
He laughed at her sore grumbling at this point. He was used to insults. The clash of wills ended here. Aoko's blood ran hot from her blazing heart. If he was going to make a fact like that, all he could do was try to think of a way to get them both home.
私だって逃げっぱなしは性に合わないし。いいわよ。最後まで粘ってみる。それにしずきくんが付き合ってくれるなら何かの役には立つでしょ。
Though her tone had lightened, there was still hesitation in her eyes. It was only natural. Aoko had not even a clue as to how to begin to fight the snark. If only she had been just a bit more skilled, or had trained just a bit more, there might have been some way to look for it.
我ながら情けない。せめて正体を暴く手がかりでもあればいいんだけど。
Without realizing, she let her apprehensions show. Whining was pointless. She would just have to figure it out by herself. But
なんだ、正体さえ分かればいいのか？
Oko gave him a look as to ask if what was that supposed to mean? Auch so ein genialer Gesichtsausdruck. Ich speichere die jetzt alle mal ab.
いや、だからおかしなものはどれかってことだろ？
So sure also made a face that suggested she would have brought it up sooner.
わかるのあんた。
多分。いや、結構前から気になっていたんだけど。
So she whispered in her eye quietly, as though... Yep, they are cute. So she whispered in her eye quietly, so as not to be overheard. Servus, Godly. How are you? It was certainly unexpected. But then again, equally obvious. After he explained the mistake, she knew right away that he was correct. At last, she had an inkling of Flatsnark's original form, namely... Don't make it so exciting what that flag is. Cool! It's my third for N of Taibuna reading. I read 2 routes of Tsukihime and Fates Denied. They strategized for 10 minutes. After deliberation regarding the Snark's true form and figuring a plan of attack, the two exchanged nods in acceptance of the roles.
それじゃあここからは別行動ね。でもミラーハウスの時みたいなのは勘弁してよ。この作戦の肝はあなたなんだから。開始1分でドジったら本当に打つ手なしだからね。
Wonder what the plan is. Though she shapped him for his previous failure as a decoy, her voice was bright. August's original vigor had returned to her at Sushi's discovery of the truth. Fatal Ataraxia, I started reading, but then my PC broke and I lost the save. And I was streaming it too, and I'm not in the mood to restart it reading again, Hollow Ataraxia, because I was, I think, pretty far in. Meanwhile, Tsuchiro was also getting serious in his own way. And I read this here completely blind. He took Aoko's warning to heart.
ならいいけど、いい？さっきと立場は反対よ。失敗したら死ぬのは私じゃなくてそっち。もうフォローに回れないから、できるだけ慎重にね。
分かってる。今更ながら、やっぱりさっき逃がしてもらえばよかったと思うぐらい慎重だ。
Tsuchiro nodded, telling her to leave to him. Though he made it sound like he was holding a grudge, it seemed to him to be the only way of showing her his resolve. Aoko let out the sigh of defeat. What's more, she couldn't figure him out. The only thing I know from Mahoyo is that Aoko's sister is the antagonist and that Aoko learns the 5th magic at the end of it.
ほんと、大バカなんだか大物なんだか。でも任せた。期待してるわ、しずきくん。
She had wanted to say that she believed in him, but apparently that was way too embarrassing for her. Aoko turned away from Tsuchiro and began to run. Chip began to think that maybe this change of pace was not so bad after all. And so ended this intermission. The young cast were handed their new lines. But what of the climax? At long last, this night of witches had entered its climax. She was filled with foreboding at the Robin's report. Apparently, they had gone in opposite directions. The park residents had to set off after the boy witness, and it would take them mere minutes to capture him, so the bird said.
どういうこと？追いかけているのは本当に彼？青
The robin flapped his wings, chirping away any doubt. It had seen them with its own two eyes. Oko was heading for the plaza, and the cocky brat was making a run for the roller coaster.
青子が彼を見捨てたですって。そんな簡単なことならいいけど。ダンプティは彼に張り付いているの？
The robin nodded enthusiastically. It didn't know about the other birds, but with its superior night vision, it had seen its sucker clearly because it had moved to a high point.
ダンプティはなんて？最後まで歌わせろ。こんな褒め殺したい間抜けはまたとない。ですって。
Scratch Dumpty was a ticking time bomb that would drop and detonate the moment his target was in his gaze. That is, as long as his target continued to observe him in a way he was gentlemanly ploy kickshaw. Through Alice wished he would forego such niceties when in the battle.
そうね。視線を切らないだけではダンプティからは逃げられない。表面の死が完成すれば扉が開く。彼がどこまで逃げようと、あと少しでダンプティがしまってくれるわ。
Until the park, or rather the snark, was destroyed, Tsuchiro would not be able to escape. Which means the larger concern was Oko. Oko had promised to protect the boy, which begged the question, where was she running to?
ここにいる限り、青子の動向はつかめない。
Alice looked over the park, ignoring the robin's attempt to get her attention with its plumage. Flat Snark had nearly reached its full size. It was a different breed of beast compared to the other cheap ploys. To her, it was one of the three most irreplaceable and precious familiars.
そうね。任せたわ、スナーク。青子が諦めない以上、あなたも手は抜かないで。
Alice remained where she was, with the same historical merit as the troll under the bridge and the poison-clawed reptile. Flat Snark was one of Alice's ultimate ploys. She was placing her trust in its reputation and ability.
でも忘れないで。これはゲームよ。勝敗がついたのなら、私のところに帰ってきて。
The drifting fog ignored its master's words. It was the one thing that Alice had misread. Flat Snark was a king even among the other ploys of terrible vulgar antics. Death to the defeated, gruesome tragedy to the vanquished. I'd found no pleasure unless it brought about the total ruination of life and wealth. The fog billowed like a wicked lava. After all, only a king had the right to decide the fate of the vanquished, and the Snark's greed could not be contained. Thus, it hadn't even the slightest intent to play fair despite its master's orders. Huh. Over 100 feet high. One careful step at a time. the figure made its way gingerly up the track, stretching into the heart of the amusement park. He stayed his beating chest and the pounding of his breath. Even tiny movements were an obstacle to his progress. Amazingly, the one making this pale-faced advance higher and higher was Soichiro Shizuki. Far below, he saw a horde of breed creatures that congregated by the roller coaster platform. As they busted his way, and that their numbers continued to increase by the minute, seemingly cheering on Soichiro with raised arms as he made his ascent. Or cheered him more like beckoning him to come down.
助かった。あれ、高いところは苦手なんだ。
Your luck. Of course, Soichiro neither did, Soichiro. But his current state was the less of two evils. The only thing that followed him now was the floating egg. After having a huge sigh, Soichiro bent forward a bit and climbed the track that reached the heavens. 150 feet now. If this were a skyscraper, you'd be on the 16th floor. A strong gust of wind wiped through his hair. Humans had an instinctual fear of heights. In particular, a place like this, which called for visions of falling to one's death, would cause a person's knees to tremble against their will. It was an instinct that forewarned death, urging this master to return to the safety of the ground. It was a reasonable reaction. Climbing the roller coaster tracks went beyond funny stories and into the realm of fantasy. The strong winds of change in air pressure were a hindrance. His instinct screamed at him, stop, causing his limbs to go numb, his muscles to go limp, and his mind to race. To be fair, I would favorably fighting millions of Bretmans than climbing on roller coaster high. Even if he had been tied to a lifeline, a mere 50 feet of climbing would still have caused his force to freeze out of sheer terror. And it would only get worse from here, exponentially so. Every foot forward increased the load of both his mind and his body by another degree.
よし、頂上まであと少し。
The burden in his mind, notwithstanding, he carefully measured the toll in his body with every step. His legs, which had carried him running this far, threatened to buckle the moment he let down his guard. The fatigue was likely why Aoko had stressed that Soichiro's role was more dangerous than hers.
待てよ。逆を言うと、疲れてなければなんとかなると思ってたんだよな、青崎。
Soichiro laughed as he stared at the floating egg. He reflected of the course of events that had led to this absurd situation. Not even 10 minutes ago, they had been engaged in conversation.
じゃあ次ね。正体が分かった以上、あとはどう壊すかを話し合いましょう。
Soichiro felt a shudder tremble down his spine, and Aoko smacked Ryan. Ich liebe Aokos face! In hindsight, Aoko had been more than happy at this point to make him do something absurd.
どう壊すかって、それなら。
Soichiro had spoken up, figuring that he was about to say was silly, especially considering Aoko had the makeshift to tear clean through the fence. Furthermore, up till now, he had not once offered his insight as to the true form of Lord Snacks, only due to his belief that there was nothing they could have done about it, even if they were the wiser. But that had changed. For Aoko, the impossible was quite literally within her grasp.
そうでもないわ。私の目算だと、あと50メートル分、ギリギリで届かない。
Despair filled Soichiro's eyes. Aoko lifted a hand to her long hair with the magical energy in her fingertip. Cut a clean tuft from her head.
足りない分は努力と根性ってね。 あなたはできるだけ高いところまで逃げて。頃合いを見て合図を出すから、そうしたらこれを空に放ってくれる？
But based on where her pointed her gaze, she didn't really mean to leave it up to Soshiro to pick the highest place he could find. Oka was staring conspicuously at one of the amusement park's two main attractions, the roller coaster.
つまり青崎とは別行動をとってあの怪物たちに追われながら。
そういうこと。ほら、あのうねうね動き出してるコースターのレールとかよくない？
Verdammt, ich liebe ihre Gesichter. Safe. Sorry that they make so much screenshots. There were two demons in this park. Her smile made even Soshiro want to respond. It was far from perfect.
疑いたくはないんだが、本当はあの子とグルで俺を遠回しに殺そうとしてるんじゃないか。
あら、私に殺されるのならいいんでしょ？
人の出現を悪用するのは良くないと思う。
I love this pair. Soshiro hung his head. This was not insane. If he did as she said, he would die from exhaustion before Kid see even a chance to eat him.
私だって鬼じゃないわ。ほら、こっち向いて。
No, you are a monster, Oko.
おまじないかけてあげる。
It was the lightest of touches, close enough for the breath and skin to come in contact. Oh, cute!
Oh.
He finished with a hushed voice. For one of them, this was a rather mundane magecraft. For the other, it was a head-spinning sneak attack on intimacy.
軽く、弱く、うまく、早く。
Be light and trail, nimble and fast. Ah!
チクタクチクタク、急げや急げ。
Tick tock, tick tock. There's no time to waste. Words that could not produced by normal lyrics, carrying a particular weight to them, reverberated against his eardrums. If words were given colors, these would have been the color of her name, blue. Sushiro's exhausted body, a burning blood, gently cooled.
飛ぶ、泳ぐ、駆け抜ける。
Fly, swim, run.
チクタクチクタク、汽笛を鳴らせ。
Tick tock, tick tock, sound the alarm.
星はいつでも北の空。どこまでも、いつまでも。
The star is always in the morning sky, no matter where you go. In reality, it took but a few seconds, but the sudden contact had felt a little longer until it ended.
よし、暗示成功。成功したはず。ここまで手応えがあったの初めてだし。アリスの小言もたまには役に立つじゃない。
A very merry Aoko stood aside a very confused Sochiro. After he asked what the heck it occurred, she responded,
簡単な暗示よ。一時的に恐怖心を消しておいたから、高いところに登っても平気なはず。あの手の作業で一番足を引っ張るのは同様でしょ。恐怖も何も感じなければ、地上何メートルだろうと平均台とそう変わらないってわけ。
he seemed to get it. It's actually all sounded like Greek to Soshiro, but he accepted it as an explanation of his strange actions.
着いた。
He arrived at the summit of the track. At high of nearly 200 feet, Tsushiro had a bird's eye view of the entire amusement park. He was able to spot Oko's figure right away. The plaza, not so far from here, she seemed to be occupied with something conspicuous. The surroundings lay still. The breedmen were still busy trying to figure out how to reach Tsushiro by trial and error from the locust's entrance. They had over 300 feet of distance to cover.
汗をかくはずだ。こんなに移動したのか。
The strong winter gales quickly dried the sweat on his brow, but he was drenched underneath his shirt. This much speed was worth at least a half-mile run, not to mention all the scars he had experienced through the night.
でもよかった。あとは合図を待つだけだ。
He felt a wave of relief, but not at the thought of Aoko destroying the snark in this nightmarish park. He was simply happy that he could repay a bit of his debt from the House of Mirrors. A blue bullet rose from the palace where Aoko was located.
合図だ。
The Shiro stood up to the tracks, pulled out a pouch he stowed in his pocket, and tossed it forward. Without any regard for his questionable footing, he gave him the mighty overwarm pitch. The small pouch drew a parabolic curve in Oko's direction, quickly becoming united in mid-air. Inside the bag was the lock of her hair and a small stone weight.
高いところから風に乗せてくれれば、あとは何とかするから。
Oko had said, but it was Shiro's effort that had set the plan in motion. The tuft of hair remained airborne, drifting as if watching over its owner. Shiro's job was done. He still remained concerns about the egg hovering over him, but there was nothing he could do about it. Shiro breathed a sigh of relief and leaped forward to watch the rest of this plan unfold, but then...
むむ。
in the corner of his eye, he thought he spotted something familiar approaching Oko.
Route set.
Routing set.
Direct. 1層、2層、予備に3層。魔力提供、体現に固定。循環よし、射角よし、術式安定、大まかよし。
A pattern began to crave itself into Break Street. The casting of unexpected incantation with unprecedented range. Keeping the rising tension contained within her chest, the fledgling mage snapped her fingers.
決めた。ツアープラン、スターマイン。
To a plan, Star Mine. She needed the center of the formula and raised her head to the night sky. Not even a glimpse of small-figured fantasy land around her entered her vision now. Only one thing, one untouchable thing was reflected in her blue eyes.
実はずっと気になっていたことが。
This is how the conversation started a few minutes prior. Tsushiro began a simple statement of fact. In truth, it was really the simplest of discrepancies between the reality of an hour ago and the illusion of the present, a difference between both infinitesimal and infinite at the same time.
雲があったから勘違いしたんだろうけど。
There was something hiding in plain sight. Something both seemingly impossible in reality and unusual given its location. In this amusement park where every paradigm had shifted, something was brazenly flaunting its normalcy.
今夜は新月なんだ、青崎。
Ah!
思えば、初めっからその形だったものね、あんたは。
The distance from Earth to the moon was 238.900 miles. If it was truly identical to the actual moon, then this monster indeed lived up to its eerie reputation. A distance that far would have meant it had no need to hide its form. It could flaunt its true form in front of all. But due to the very fact it was hiding its true form, it meant it must have been within reach. That monster camouflage implied it was set within the reach of human hands.
こっちの最大射程はよくて600ってところだけど。
At this point, it was time to give it all she had. Drawing on the energy surging throughout the park, she extended her firing arm. A blue firework launched into the air. Looking up at her hair dancing in the wind above, Oku reached out to her right hand as if to catch the night sky. A mage's own body made for the perfect catalyst. And for a female mage, the hair she had grown out over many years made her for a particularly valuable and powerful source of fuel. To use it all, she had to do was apply her will. She looked at her fingers on both her hands together and shouted.
三層展開全術式連結起動
She hurled forth a clear challenge to bind the moon to herself. The mist began to boil up with the vortex. The monsters higher both bore its fangs at the sight of the blue spell that appeared in mid-air.
見抜かれたですって
By the time Alice had noticed the change, the hostility between Oko and the Snark was palpable.
そうなら青子の勝ちよすぐに戻りなさい確かに雨雲を消したのはヒントの上げすぎだけどそれぐらいは多めに見てスナック
The fog continued to thicken, with no sign of abating. The music is so epic! The moon that floated in the night sky could not put on such insolent mage. As if the Lord of the Night would bow down to such imprudence, there was no staying in his warmth, wrath, and challenge so flagrant.
スナック
The robin swooped in to give a report, but Alice waved it away. Her gaze was fixed on the transforming the golden moon. Oh yeah! Her cause of restraint did not reach it. The fairy tale monster was beholden to nobody and would have no qualms unleashing its vast might upon its puny prey. The core of her magic bullet told. The magic circles of her body spun. Oko fed their magical energy, scorching her nerves with imaginary flame. It was linked to the formula inscribed on the ground. The spell was ready to execute it the same as it always was, but its output was beyond reckoning. With this much firepower, even the mundane process would invite injury upon its caster. It was enough to burn up the nerves that were acting as the barrel. The imaginary heat had reached a terrifying temperature. Oko trembled at this endless feeling, but would have to grin and bear at least their efforts came to naught. Oko could no longer move. When she had learned the Snark's true form from Sushiro, she gave up any superiority, a movable turret of her, instead opening to become a stationary cannon. That was the only way she could reach it. It was impossible to hunt the Snark unless she anchored her crest at its locations at angle. At the same time, this action revealed that she was out of options. Once the fuse was lit, would have no choice to fight to the bitter end. Okay, the deep breath. This was the day she wanted it. Her preparations were complete. He would be able to deliver his maelstrom of magical energy directly to the moon like a rocket payload. The third layer floating in mid-air serves as a cannon's muzzle and side. It would fire the magical energy once it reached critically and allowed Oko to adjust the action of fire. The moon became wrapped within the scope. As Oko charged her magical energy, the Ploy displayed its golden form as if to mock her. Come, worship the heavens, powerless scion of an innocent bloodline. For there, it was a point among the otherworldly sky, a mystical visage obstructed by the jade mist and the azure clouds, called the greatest treasure known to the world of magecraft, a rarity more valuable than the entire kingdom, crowned phantasm. Set apart from the very beginning, the world's greatest fabrication. Her instinct screamed at her delay of no further. This fairy tale monster was the greatest of its kind, and its true form was about to be exposed. Its open hostility indicated that it was making preparation for a counterattack. She had to shoot it down first. Magical energy was at 80%. The formula was operating normally. And that all that was left was to pull the trigger, but the calm voice inside her head asked if she was really okay. She had one shot at this, and there was no going back. It was a better position with no room of miscalculations. Even a tenth of a second of hesitation would tip the scales. Was she ready for the pain? Was she ready to deal with the fallout if she missed? Could she really even take down the moon with such a tiny bullet in her first place? Her eyes, fixed upon the moon, were filled with determination, and an awareness for the moment she fired the intense recoil would overwhelm her entire body. She shouted. With every ounce of spirit she possessed, she fired the ultra-long-range projectile into the sky. Gay bulk! The third layer embraced the magic bullet, fired from surface of the earth. The crest and the extension of Oko's self unleashed light to pierce the moon. However, an enormous blue canopy pulverized the beam. It returned to ether at 3000-degree flames to nothing as it came in contact with the bullet. The recoil of the Grand Magecraft literally boiled her blood. Her body couldn't handle it. Her heart stopped. Her brain went numb from the pain and impact. Her nerves putrefied from the end. But her magic crest revived them all by force. Even though her vision had gone wide, she could still see it. Swallowing the blood in her mouth, Oko looked up the skull. There it was, an enormous shield of ice, and a sneering deformed sky. There was no time to think or hesitate. The magic energy through the park began to gather, or connect, across from the tyrannical face of the moon. Orkan irritated that the ice had yet to fully form. Flashback still had reached its full strength, which was exactly why.
まずいまずいまずいまずい
By accelerating the spell Orkan damaged her own body. Orkan set up, braced herself for the pain caused by the low place of the formula after linking with the snark. All she could do was endure it. All because
あの氷私のマックスよりもっと上だ
Orkan got no read on their relative strengths. Even if its volume of magic energy was identical, Snark's form as mystic was a different beach. Even if Orkan charged her energy to her absolute limit, she would barely make it a dent in the ice wall. Meaning, if the Snark gave her much energy as it could, there was nothing she could do to prevent her annihilation.
ならその前に
She loaded her next shot. She issued the order to the floating third layer. Ignoring the toll on her body, she began to electrocute the first layer of formula. The roll of her right hand's single layer was to absorb and store surrounding magical energy. The thick fog drifted through the park was ancient ether, smoothed out by Flasnak's own body, but Orkan could pour it into her formula. Orkan's body, which had integrated with the formula, took an amount of magical energy that far surpassed its maximum capacity. It seethed in agony, or rather it trembled in delight. For a mage, magical energy was propellant to reach the realm of mystics, the expansion of eternal time, the liquefaction of the self, the release from the physical, what one might call near-death experience. Orkan stood face to face with reality on the boundary between it and such concepts. And really was here to break her will. To any bystander, the gap between them would be plain to see. The gambler named Oko Osaki shed no chance to chip away at that lump of ice. This point, she accelerated the spell further. The sky grinned. The ice was no shield, it was something we used to crush mages who did not know the places. The moon laughed as it prepares to crush not just Oko, but the boy atop the roller coaster, as well as the park in its entirety.
どうした
Her circus were on the verge of going critical. Charged with scorching power supply from her fingertips to her eyeballs, she would see to it that the bullet fired. That magical formula would be strength as quickly as some nerves transmission speed without allow. A single attack was not enough. There was no way to shoot it from its flank, which meant there was only one solution.
セレクタオルタネイト
Alternate sector. Third layer began to transform. It switched from direct to alternating current. The spell's supposed strong point was the ability to adjust the trajectory mid-flight, but right now all she went was numbers.
セットオクタグラム
Set.
全階層ぶん回せ
A blue sun shined down upon the amusement park. Beams of light and maximum output straight forth to pierce the golden moon. I wonder how many witnesses Lucidians there are for this nightly light show. But hey, gas explosion. Holding down the trigger, she continued to fire, taking in energy at... Yeah, exactly! Taking energy at infinitum. Like in Phase Zero, the giant monster in the river was just a gas leak. Blue flames shot forth at crystal level. But the ice would neither melt nor mar. No amount of sheer heat could make a dent in something formed from such a colossal amount of special energy. The total circus sent them berserk, and blood began to run free. I kinda want to snack a servant in FGO. The battle had become a tussle over the magical energy that filled the park. From the very beginning, this had been the Snark's home turf. The Snark had controlled over at last 80% of the space, while Oko had 20 at best. The cast of ice descended as to call the match. All she could do was delay the inevitable. She knew that she had been back into the wall right now. The only thing she could do was to keep firing. Then again, perhaps not. There was another option. If she converted all her magic energy to her defense, there was a tiny chance, no, not tiny, a great possibility in fact, that she could save just her. Clinging to the broken hope, Oak continued to rotate her circles. Time seemed to stop at the magical energy overdose. A second of intense pain lasted an eternity. Then I missed everything. Something approached. One step at a time. I kinda wonder what this Red Riding Hood is. Is this a guardian of the counterforce or something? Something from among the park's shadows. Something. 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 She felt goosebumps from her head to toe. The issue was no longer the ice overheat. In the midst of the stillness, the Red Death drew closer, step by ominous step. Her circles and her mind began to rupture out of terror. The composition of her formula and soul began to rip apart. There it was, just behind her. Its footsteps came to her hold. It reached around and cupped her face in its blood-stained hands. I have a bad feeling about this. She wanted to scream out with all her might. This is it. Nothing matters. I couldn't care less. Run or don't run, it doesn't matter. Quit hiding and reveal yourself. Use whatever you can and show no mercy. That was it. She had one final card to play. A murderer that would treat that ice like nothing more than a toy gifted to her as a mere amusement. That was the dread death had come to kill. Using it would spell ruin, and not using it would mean death by ice. But why would Ayoko hesitate? There was no conditions limiting her. There would be no price to pay by employing it to her. Here, she simply would cease to be herself. That was all. Humans love to exist in areas of grey. Dose of electrical impulse disconnected to the brain every minute. Nothing lasts forever, not even oneself. It was not anything particular worth of disdain. It was not even anything remarkable worthy of being called taboo. What escaped her lips now was rage. Bewilderment from the red silhouette. The girl let out an inaudible scream. Could true magic truly be her savior? What an opportunistic load of bull. After all, to begin with.
んなのどうやって使えってのよ
Indeed, Oak was still in the dark when it comes to that magic, whatever it was. Is the Red Riding Hood the fifth magic? She spoke from a momentary bullet station. The very illusion her breaking soul had shown her. Vining had the opposite effect on her. Her pride was now ablaze.
逃げるのか
So she was right, her opponent had put her in a check, but she had done it the same to it. It was clear why she was losing, so now all she needed to was a counterplan, violent in her abilities. No matter the odds, she was not one to give up without giving it one last shot.
そうだ放り出すのはやれることを全部やってから
Her numb fingers clenched into a tight fist. Was battling against the house, an unreasonable gable that should have made her question her sanity. If her first step was off by an inch, her body would be instantly vaporized. But she knew a boy who never fled. She knew a steadfast courage that could shine its light no matter how small through any desperate situation. Yes, there was more than just herself to be concerned about. If that ice fell, it would mean the destruction of the park in its entirety. Everything he had achieved, everything he had risked and dared, happily put his life on line for, it would all be for naught.
本当それじゃあ何のために意地を張ったかわからない
Determination and confidence surged through her like electricity. She was in no mood to be crushed by a giant sheet of ice. She was going to lose, she would rather do so as the greatest firework possible. Oko was a sure loser. At this point, she would rather burn herself to sinners than let it decide her end. I won't never play with Oko any game of any board game.
チェンジ
She grunted in pain. Energy raged through her body. Her circus swung the verge of disintegration. Indescribable upon her body, her magic crest was magecraft given physical form. It did not, however, stop with simply skin and flesh. It burrowed to the very marrow of her bones. A playful symbol graced her lips. The sense of reason had been turned upside down by the pain that was only natural.
なんだやればできるじゃない私
She had no praise for her own body for holding out so long by pushed beyond its limits. The sky face noted the nobility. It fairly recognized the challenge for dominance over this space. It laughed the conceit it faced. Never did it expect a magician to challenge the great flat snark, lord of vessels over a millennium, and in such an age of decline. She tried to catch her breath. She braced herself for coming but becoming pain, was going to smash the ice to pieces. Both had access to the same amount of magical energy. One of them was greatly outmatched, but
出力装置に差があった。魔力の吸引、方針の規模で負けているのなら、単純な話、私をでかくするだけでいい。チェンジ、ツアープラン。
change. Tour. Plan. The feedback would go beyond anything she expected to date. Quite simple, the decision went beyond recklessness. She expanded both formula to maximum size. The first layer would transform to a giant vortex swallowing up the mist. The second layer would possess its form one end and pump it into the barrel.
私の想定が甘かった。撃ち落とすなんて半端もいいとこ。この場合、跡形もなく打ち砕くった。
The primeval magical energy responded in concert with her conviction. It formed a pattern of wrathing serpent, voiced as special power, flying the banner of revolution. She beckoned the great power of old to feast its eyes upon the land, for it was the first time of the tribalizers. The representatives of mankind, they knew no fear and would rend all manner of music and mystic to naught.
貸し借りはここまでよ。嘘つきブーちゃん。お望み通り、のしをつけて返してあげる。
For the newest magician command, the principles of consumption and extinction. An aberrant bullet of light belled through the castle of ice. Her barrier was tempered. The control of magical energy was divine. Her veins, totaling 62,000 miles in length, or 2.5 times the circumference of the equator, accepted the flow of magical energy with avarice. The subsequent magic bullets swiftly flew straight into the moon. No, no, no! Death rose to the surface of the moon. A cry of terror, of indignation, echoed through the dawn park. Reality was burned with the eyes of this creature's fantasy. As Urkel looked upon this vain attempt to struggle, she knew she had tasted victory. Victory despite the absolute reckless use of magical energy. The energy scales had been tipped to the breaking point, but nevertheless in her favor. Tour, plane, plan.
Black light, starbow.
Black light, starbow.
一気にぶち抜け。
Aoko! Sprich nicht in such a vulgar language with your enemy. Shatter, 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 shatter. The skyscraper shattered into an atomized dust. The ice and its unattainable extort had swallowed the whole despair of its many challengers, and that which remained of this once proud thing that boasted of its untouched knowledge. To a mission bemoaned its demise. The ice canopy in the sky crumbled. The snark hunting bullet jumped over the moon, and its throes of death sounded like a roaring sea reverberating across the fairy tale land. The battle was over. The thick fog dissipated, and the shattered ice melted away before it hit the ground. A lethal bullet had chopped the Night King along with its throne, affording him no time to grieve his loss. The oil of the moon. The untouched, flat snark. The dreamscape had begun with resurrection, ended with its demise, drawing close to his nightmare. Just a little. Flat on her back, Oko looked up at the night sky. She lay there perfectly still, not able to move a single finger. When she tried, the whole body screamed out in agony. It was completely empty of magical energy. The magic crest had come to a halt. She estimated it would likely require a whole day to recover her body functions. Sadly, she could really do in the moment was take a breath. At least her chest was swelling with pride. She again turned over a fairy tale monster and had emerged victorious. The battlefield conditions had favored her. It was true, but there was no denying that Oko had come a long way in the last 6 months.
それはそれとしてアリスには謝っとかないと黒いって壊したらそれっきりだものね
Flat Snark would never again return to this world. It was an insanely rare item, so immovable that it would have been impossible to price it for an auction at the association in London. Oko had sent Alice priceless treasures of Magecraft world to oblivion. Needless to say, things had gotten more than a little out of hand.
まあでも
They had both agreed to the fight, so Alice probably would not complain. Even if she was furious, she would never be so undignified as to show it. The second Oko reaction to fatigue finally caught up with her. She did everything in her power to fight off the overwhelming dose of dizziness. Aside from her minor internal injuries, her body was miraculously unscattered, so much she felt that she could probably stand up and dust herself off after a bit of rest. The golden moon continued to burn in the night sky.
正体は油だものねそりゃいつまでも燃え
Oko's blurry eyes went wide in astonishment, but still unable to lift a finger.
そっかスナークを見つけたベイカーも最後は一緒に消えるんだっけ
She sighed in resignation. Oko accepted the final stand left her with only the 10 seconds before she burned to ash too. After just a short moment prior, buffeted by strong winds, the roller coaster socially gravely burst down at the ground.
ムム
All he could muster was a single murmur. He could see Oko on top of some drawing on the ground and
なんだあれいくらなんでも頑丈すぎないか
in the distance there was something familiar in the direction of ruined house of mirrors. So she stopped to throw Oko's hair from the great height was complete. But not the most impressive of the task, it was obviously a matter of life or death. And on top of it all, just think about how he was going to get back down to the ground was making him dizzy. He had experienced more than enough trouble for one day.
いやでもあれ
He was flustered as he stood atop the swaying bridge. A sky suddenly appeared in the sky above. On the ground you could see a circling blue light where Oko was stuck in the middle of it. And one more thing. A shadow was approaching Oko that only someone from his vantage point could see. A shadow missing the lower half of its body. Oh god, not this feet again! The upper of his body was slowly crawling its way to Oko. They were still over 600 feet apart. Unfortunately for Oko, she completely failed to notice it approaching from behind.
遠くて見えないけど、あれは
Was sure what it was now. There was only one thing that parted would chase Oko and not him, the puppet.
いや、でも、ほら、あるいは、ひょっとして、ただの
This man ran in circles. It was perfectly reasonable reaction. Any grip of reality he might have left was long lost when Oko started firing beautiful light at the monstrous through moon. Oko's merciless fire buffeted the roller coaster like a storm. Just standing on it was almost enough for him to be thrown off and killed. Any rage shield could cover the situation. Should he head back to the entrance of the roller coaster and warn Oko about the oncoming threat? No, there was no way he could take the time and make matters worse. There was a horde of dread down there waiting for him. And it may very well have been the case that Oko was really aware of the puppet and would take it out as soon as he got closer. If she was Sushiro, she would only be in the way. But it did not seem like there was anything he could do to help. And beyond that, Oko was not the only one in danger. He was quite a predicament himself. You can't go home again. The road home was never as safe as one through. It was through here, as it had been in the mountains. The path it was on was no expression, as risky as the ascent had been. It was even more dangerous to go back down. This was no time to be worrying about others. His shaking legs reminded him that only 200 feet separated him from death.
大丈夫。それは分かっている。けど、
The sand was pounding. This was reckless and stupid. Having been raised in the mountains, he was more sensitive to danger than anyone raised in the city, and just thinking about what he was about to do made his throat seize up. There was only one thing he could say for sure. What? He is more? No, 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 no. He's not more sensitive to danger. This guy wanted to jump out of the second floor window.
青崎のことだ。あれに絶対気づいていない。
With a sobbing shout, Sushiro started to make his way down the 200-foot frame roller coaster. His race toward death accelerated. He never meant to speed up, but the downward slope propelled him forward. It was too late for regrets. Now that he was running, he had no choice but to go even faster. And time was not on his side. He never would have made it in time if he had taken the long way down. Never mind the breadman crowding the exit of the roller coaster. With the exit blocked, the outcome would be the same, whether he went slowly or quickly. There was no reason to rush to his death, as desperately as he did. So what if it was futile? Sushiro cleared the depths of his mind. He turned his attention to what he could do. Keep his footing and try to arrive at the bottom as quickly as he could.
間違えるな。今大事なのは間に合うとか助けられるとか、そういう結果の話じゃなくて。
He had no idea what the impulses were driving his stiff limbs. He just focused on the moment, pushing past the fear and the cold logic. At his core, he was the kind of person to deal with problems head on. There was to be time to think about consequences later. But hesitation was not his only obstacle.
こんな時に
The worst possible hindrance appeared at a time when not focusing on the track would mean a certain death. So she sensed something wrong with the egg. He had been so sluggishly observing it out of one eye. Something had changed. And at the very moment, he realized it.
よそ見してる場合じゃない。
So she stumbled and instantly caught himself. There was a miracle he had not fallen. Descending a roller coaster on foot was an act of suicide. The egg stayed right by his side, so close it was likely it would collide with him. Though he was trying as hard as he could not to look at it, he could not help but to feel unease. That the door-like decoration in the center was gradually opening.
ああ、もう畜生。なんだってこんな。
He cursed his rotten situation, and yet he refused to slow down. He ran even faster, glaring at the egg on his side.
本当、おかしい。こんな状況なのに。なんで。
Toshiro was baffled to find that he was smiling. Perhaps it had something to do with Oko's charm, but he could not tell one way or another. He could still feel Oko's fingers through the sink. The trust and expectation she had placed in him was dashed into his heart. But what spurred him on was something very entirely different. This all stemmed from a much deeper problem. There was something inside him that could not understand at the time, but would eventually come to its terms with one day.
よし。距離は今なら2メートル弱。
He carefully judged the distance and ran as he ran down the track of death. But the distance between what? That went without saying. It was a distance between himself and the one thing that could save his life. He thought himself he was going to do it over and over like a mantra. So she could not believe himself. What he was about to do was incredibly stupid. But what is stupid when the smart is not an option?
本当、なんでそこまでやるんだ。
Amidst it all, he laughed over how pointless such self-reflection was now. Temporary confusion as a psychological thrill ride. Both had the latest soul bare. What really mattered. But simple man gets without deep thought. The sheer primitive mind did not crave success or reward. For him it was simple.
よし。
He was doing it because he wanted to, not because he felt obligated for those around him. His desire to live his way was his and his own.
行こう。
If the egg had been equipped with more functions, it would have gasped in shock at what happened next. The boy who had only tried to escape up until this point suddenly shifted his weight. He pointed his feet towards outward instead of inward. On the edge of the rail, he crouched ever so slightly to maintain momentum and gazed at the floating egg.
やれる。距離的に問題はない。
He soared through the night sky. It was a fight that lasted mere 1.5 seconds. A cordless bungee jump from 100 feet above the ground. His destination, the only thing that would stop his fall, the giant flying egg. Good idea, Suchiro. He shrieked his time out of elation as desperately clung to his egg surface. Just earlier, the cold-blooded bitch had told him that without fear, the top of a building would feel no different than the balance B. This for the same bitch that would have been left speechless had she witnessed this spectacle. Fearlessness was one thing, recklessness was another. He followed it up by an egg that would irritate her for days to come.
頼むぞ、頼む。
Clinging to the egg, he shifted his gaze away from it. He felt the rapid descent. Soichiro, focusing his half-shut eyes on the ground, leaped over the egg once they were a few feet off the ground, then turned back to it, carefully to establish eye contact. Something unbelievable through the thought to Soichiro. The elevated department store and the mysterious floating egg were both just moving objects, virtually indistinguishable from one another.
よし、割れてない。食べ物を粗末にするのは良くないと思う。
He landed near the plaza. The shock had almost cost him his life has paid off. Toshiro took off running the second his feet touched the ground. The puppet after Oko was the only thing that was mine. He paid no mind to the moonlight in the sky. All the egg furious about being used and seconds away from self-destructing and blasting fragments all over the place.
青崎！
ナム
Oko downfall expression spurred Toshiro on. The curse was complete. The empty egg began to sing its warning to let them know there was no escape. Shrapnel from the egg exploded through the air. The order to the Queen Alice. That Alice sitting waved into the dumpty quickly, robbed him of his senses. Okay.
それはそれとして。
He stepped back to the task at hand and ran to Opa still lying on the ground. His legs ran on their own accord, though he could not have ever stepped them away since he could no longer feel them.
お前、驚くほどしつこいぞ。
The scrambled murder case. Python from it became flowers of light blooming up from the earth. The final curtain drew closer, and the defeat left of the battleground. If Alice could only seen it up close, it would have left her beside herself. The twin escapes by hair's breadth. The only person positioned to witness the rare mutual destruction was the girl who had been saved from it. The boy who had never stopped running paid it no mind.
死ぬかと思った。
The safety of the girl in his arms meant infinitely more to him than the miraculous way in which he saved her. And that people think Shiro had plot armor. Yeah, really good chapter. The moon did not wait for dawn to set. The ornament of texture of the fairy-tale kingdom faded away. All of the illusions returned the way they were before. From the ostentatious courts reverberating to the streets, to the puppet welcoming the guests. Peace and quiet reigned once more. Over forgotten kingdom, never to be awakened again. Out of flickered the embers of late night dream. Even the electric lamps of illuminated the park. Together they watched it disappear. The children lay on the ground, desperately gasping for air like a fish out of water. The curse of exploding egg had numbed his pain, and he was understandably exhausted after all he had experienced. He looked like he could be blown away by the lightest of breezes. While Oko was also exhausted, she still was in better shape. Focused on taking a deep, even breath, she was already working to recover her strength.
あのさ、
She addressed Toshiro indifferently as the guests remained on the amusement park. I love the main theme. The abruptness of it was a bit theatrical in nature. She wanted to look at him as she spoke, but her pride was simply too great.
あなたなんかすごいことしなかった？
The moment she had accepted death, that seemed like an eternity, it was beside herself a shock at how indifferent she had been as the shots rained down from the moon. But the reassuring voice had snapped her back into reality. Why did he do it? What was he thinking? What moronic things did he have to do pull it off from? She had no answers for the questions, lying on the ground as she was. She all knew that she had more than made up for this failure in the House of Mirrors. And then, some in those fateful final moments, she addressed him hoping to find answers, but found herself unable to probe any further. To dig any deeper would feel like defeat, which is why it was so unlike her to ask him in the first place. Lucky first, she had never the capacity nor the sensibility to understand how egocentric she was being.
すごいって、それは青崎の方だろ。
That is are you saying? Boy, you are even more amazing! He started between labor breaths. It was taking him so much effort to just breath that he could not address her properly. She watched him out of the corner of her eye. Thinking back on it, the boy had performed the same role each time. Each and every time, he did what he could in spite of his fecklessness. It was far more admirable than her nearly suicidal tactics, even if she did defeat her opponent. He did not even recognize how extraordinary his last act of courage was.
提案、あいつをやっつけるのに協力したら、俺のことを見逃してくれる？
At the very least, he had been encouraged to keep trying whatever he could. A spectacular night, we viewed him as a supporting actor. His actions were not exactly memorable, but the lead actress he supported did not see it that way.
まあね、認めたくないし、口になってもっとしたくないけど。
Such bright actions were based on the supporting role. The guy really pulled off the impossible. It was so amazing that he wanted to shout it out loud as he possibly could for all the world to hear.
青崎？
ほんと、人畜無害のどうすぎると侮れないわ。
Well, Aoko could do on one side. How could she not? Even she was forced to admit that the way he would snatch her from the jaws of death was dashing.
ま、評価甘めだけど。
Just because he was a lunatic for doing what he did. She steadied her breathing and composed herself. She was in bad shape, and she had her pride as a mage to consider, which was what she needed to maintain an air of dignity by making a proclamation.
しずきくん、見逃すのは今日だけって話だったけど、あれ、なしでいいわ。とりあえず、命は助けてあげるから。
But I don't think Alice has this decided. She hastily extended her right hand. It was either to shake or to help him up. However, Yoshiro did not take her hand, but instead stood up on his own. This night, despite the sheer insanity that he had just experienced, his face had not once looked as incredulously as it did now.
ね、何よそのリアクションは。
Aoko has the best facial expressions of all heroines of Type Moon. She stammered, worried that she had deeply embarrassed herself. The shrewd gaze was fixed upon Aoko. Schon wieder! A problem had dawned on Naoko. Though she normally hated being steady this time, she did not mind. Rather, she was enjoying the warmth in his eyes and felt like it was something she could almost come to appreciate. Don't you get it? This isn't just about friendship, and I didn't mean he only likes Suifa. Believe me when I say, this isn't she, really. Oh no! The conversation come rushing back. It was memory better left forgotten.
いかん、それは違う。
Pushing Tobimaru's words out of her mind, Oko turned to Sojiro.
それとこれは別だから。私はあんたのこととか、ほんとどうでもいいんだから。
Puzzled Sojiro tilted his head.
さっき嫌いだって言われたけど。
He responded matter of factly to her sudden declaration. She certainly had pointed it out, and to his face no less. It had mere figure of speech that he was not meant to take literally, but now was not the time to belabor the point.
そうじゃなくて、あなたが私に惚れてても期待しないでって言ってるの。
Yet belabor she did anyway. Oko blushed slightly, realized it inane she was being. Now fuck already! She wondered how she would end up in this position, and yet she knew she had to get this off her chest. All that left was politely wait for his response. I can't date you. Such heartbreaking, painful words were too much for her, the simple boy, to hear. His shoulder slumped as the word was coming to an end, where Oko's thought. On the contrary, Sojiro was sitting there in deep thought.
俺が青崎に惚れてるって？
Sojiro murmured the words as if they were a magic spell. She shot right back with affirmative. After a moment of deep contemplation, the boy returned the expectant girl and said,
なんで？
He had been joking, but he was not. He was completely serious. He liked her, but he didn't like her. Of course, the vice president had jumped to conclusions. The boy had no interest in romance. He probably didn't even know what it was. She was incredibly embarrassed by how confused Sojiro still appeared to be. Her rosy complexion spread through their entire body.
もう一度聞くけど、なんで？
そりゃこっちが聞きたいわよ。
Poor guy.
飛び丸の大バカ野郎。
Just like that, she had lost the cool and given it an unjustifiable outburst. It was time to seal off the area and destroy all evidence. Oko, embarrassed, evolved to sheer panic. The crush against Rimaru suddenly manifested as a criminal assault. She lashed out with a punch that could have taken down a bird mid-flight. More specifically, it was a brutal fight hook. Oko blinked her bow. Blow had connected with something solid, snapping her out of Reveneer. Her tempter had lashed out of a complete defense of Sojiro. It had been splendid blow, but with all of weight behind it, knocking him out of cold. Sojiro groaned and crumbling on the ground. The punch finished the chop that the curse had started. If not for the discomfort in his face, he appeared to almost be sleeping. Yoko convinced herself that she was napping, not concourse.
いっか、予定通りになったものね。
The tension in her shoulders eased away as she looked down at Sojiro. A ton had gotten her in her way. The curse of today, but today was safe for now. With nobody left to butt heads, she felt exhaustion finally to overtake her.
うわ、歩いて帰れるかな、私。
The fatigue was enough to make her complain out loud. When she thought about it, she realized that this was the first time she'd used up all of her magical energy, and the first time she had participated in the battle of the scale without any prior preparation. Though, in truth,
私一人じゃどっちも相打ちだったっけ
she was somewhat proud as she whispered those words. Normally it was something that she would beat herself up over, but instead she simply shrugged her shoulders with a bitter smile. After all, it was thanks to the person sleeping by her side. Sleeping, yes.
聞こえてないわよね
As the native swallowed her voice before it reached him, she received no response. Confident, she continued and quieted her
そ
voice.
のありがとう十分に助けてもらったわ
Of course, there was no response from Tojiro, and she was not expecting to say if for the record was enough. Oko watched Tojiro sleep for a while and then pulled something out of her pocket. It was a palmless glass bottle the room had given her, which still open with a pop.
でもそれとこれとは別だから
Leaving behind the words colder than a winter chill at night, she called out his name. She barely sensed the bottle moving. As the silhouette of the fallen boy appeared to blur, she got the feeling that the weight of the bottle had increased slightly.
うわどうなってんだろうこれ
What appeared to be a human form could clearly be seen inside the glass. Alice Guanchi's tools of mystic and confounded even the most knowledgeable explanations. As soon as Oko tried to analyze them with logic of reason, it was already out of her depth. Knowing this all too well, Oko closed the bottle and watched the boy disappear as if by some magic trick.
まったくこんなの手品じゃなくて魔法だって
She muttered as he looked into the magic bottle. His face had not changed significantly, as she had no idea how it worked, but the one thing she did know was there was a human being inside of it. Its light made it almost unnerving, closer to empty the air than a human being. It was about as heavy as one would expect it if they would bottle a summer's breeze. Though, that fit the image of Socialist perfectly.
アリスの言う通り
She muttered to no one in particular as she recalled the past.
ほんと私らしくない
Oh, with a bittersweet smile. Her usual moodiness was gone. It was dangerous world out there. It was good to have someone to keep her on toes. With a very chuckle, she flickered the magical bottle with her finger and set off walking. She could hear a bell in the distance signaling the end of the play. An ephemeral dream gave way to reality. In the grand scheme of things, it had been but an instant. As the actors exited the stage left, the last of the lights silently flickered out. And so long, that amusement park is its final role as a memory for a boy and a girl. Farewell, Kitsyland. So, Night of the Witches, Chapter 5, Part 2, finished. Wonder how long the next chapter will be. But for today, I think it's enough. And I stop the stream for now. Maybe I stream tomorrow again, or maybe next weekend, but probably. Cause Tuesday I have to work. Wednesday I think I'm too tired. Thursday I have no time. Friday I think I'm too tired. Dann mal adios and see you by the next stream. Bye bye. Why do I wait thinking? By waving my hand.